Hi, my name is Brian Grumkowski, Director, Graduate Programs for the Casacos College of Business. In this video, I'm going to speak specifically about course registration. And really the goal here is to familiarize you with some of the policies and procedures and really leave you in a position where you feel comfortable and confident registering for classes for your first session and in each session thereafter. So by the end of this, the hope is that you'd be able to move forward into WPConnect and start browsing for courses and add them to your schedule. Just going to switch over to my slide deck quick. So first thing I want to stress is if you haven't already, take some time to look over the advisement email that was sent to you by your advisor carefully. And I say that because there's a lot of detailed information there, and there's a lot of helpful links and other things that will make registration hopefully much easier for you if you have the chance to review and kind of look over some of them. The first one, if you haven't already, there is a brief 2-minute video, step by step, that was produced between the registrar's office and our IT department for how to add a course to your schedule in WPConnect, which is the online portal that we utilize. Because it's a step-by-step guide, it gives you a very good visual of how you're going to actually go log in and add the courses to your schedule. So if you haven't already, I recommend taking some time to review that so you have that visual in mind and feel a little bit more comfortable when you actually go and try and register for classes. The other thing is, in your advisement email, we will have made a recommendation for you on courses for your first session. Those are typically strategic. So sometimes we recommend specific classes, like, for example, some of our foundation courses, because those are a prerequisite for another course that you might be taking in the near future. We're always taking into account when classes are offered. Some are offered in each session throughout the year. Some may only be offered in a specific semester throughout the year, and some may only be offered once in an academic year. So typically those courses that are being offered or being suggested to you are done with good reason. So whenever possible, we recommend sticking to those recommendations to make sure you don't run into any issues further down the line. WPConnect is that online portal that I referenced before. Your login credentials that will allow you to access WPConnect are typically sent through the acceptance email that will come to you from the graduate admissions office. Now, if you need to access it, if you want to refer back to it, usually you can log into the application portal that you use to submit your graduate application. And it's available there as a PDF, which you could download. It'll be your login credentials and then also your temporary password. And then after that, if you want to change your password, you're able to do so. So I would also recommend referring back there if you haven't had the chance and you haven't tried logging into WPConnect yet. Now, you're going to go into WPConnect, you're going to go to the student tab, and at least to start, you're going to go and look under the My Registration section that's there. There are 2 links that you'll probably interact with. The first is look up course offerings. This is when you want to browse around, see what's available. You're not really committed or you're not able at that time to physically add the courses to your schedule, but you want to start to kind of look around and see what's available or see, if there are seats available for the courses that were recommended for you. The second one would be add/drop courses. That's for when you're ready to actually add the courses to your schedule, and the option to do so will appear when you're searching for courses. Both of those appear in that same area. Now, there's an alternate PIN that you will be prompted to provide once you are going to add a course to your schedule. That is typically a student's 6-digit date of birth, month, day, year for the digits. If you try that and it doesn't work, do reach out to us. It could mean that somebody errantly entered a digit wrong when they were entering that number. So do reach out to us. We can resolve that very easily, but in most cases, you'll be able to log in without issue using that 6-digit date of birth. Can't stress enough, there are a couple variables in play when you're going to select a course. Do note that there are 3 semesters in the year. There's fall, there's spring, and there's summer. There is a winter session, but it's important to note that the accelerated program has 7-week sessions. They're already considered accelerated. The winter session is only 5 weeks. So it was determined that that was too short of a span of time to offer graduate courses for the MBA program. So you'll be working between the spring, summer, and fall semesters. Each semester has 2 7-week sessions, a session 1 and a session 2. And then you are going to be looking specifically for WP Online course sections. That'll appear in an attribute column on the right-hand side when you're browsing for courses. It'll either say WP Online Session 1 or WP Online Session 2. I mention this because we do have students who may mean to register for, let's say, Summer Session 1, but accidentally register for Summer Session 2. Sometimes students don't realize that error until it's right around the time classes are going to begin for Summer 1, and then they realize, oops, I accidentally registered for Summer Session 2. We don't want to find you in that position. We want you to register for those courses that you intend to register for. Similarly, if you go and try and register for a course that says Main Campus in the attribute column, even if it says Main Campus Online Asynchronous, those are actually course sections that are restricted for our on-campus MBA students. So if you try to register for one of those, you get a campus restriction error message. On the flip side, if an on-campus MBA student tried to register for a WP Online section, they'd get the same error message. So it's important to make sure that you're looking at that you're registering for the correct semester. You know, if you want summer, that it's summer, that you are looking at the correct session. If you want session 1, that you've selected a summer session 1 course section, and also that you've selected a WP Online course section specifically, and that should allow you to add those without issue. If all of the available course sections are showing as being full and perhaps on a wait list for the session that you're registering for, I can't stress enough, I recommend placing yourself on the wait list for your preferred course section for that session. So typically that involves selecting waitlist from the drop-down menu and then clicking the submit button rather than web register, which is what you would be using otherwise. And I say that because over the last 4 sessions, 100% of the students that were on the wait list for one or more course sections had a seat approved by the chairs prior to the registration deadline. Usually it'll be 1 to 2 weeks before the registration deadline where the chairs will review all of those circumstances and then will typically approve additional seats or an additional course section where it's appropriate and where it's feasible. But they do make every effort to accommodate as many students as possible. So don't be concerned if you see that all the course sections for, let's say, MGT 6045 are full for, let's say, summer session 1. Select your preferred course section, place yourself on the wait list, and there's a very good chance that you will get in that class before the registration deadline. Each course section has 15 waitlist seats, so you can place yourself for one of those. And then, like I said, in my experience, there's a very good chance you're going to get in that course. I know seeing the word waitlist makes a lot of students very nervous, but I can't stress enough. You have nothing to worry about. Just place yourself on the wait list. We'll take care of the rest for you. So there are prerequisite courses that are in place for some of our classes. For example, the most common that I think students will encounter in the beginning is Accounting 6065, which is one of our 1.5 credit foundation courses, and Econ 6095, which is another of our foundation courses, is a prerequisite for Fin 6075, which is, again, another of our 1.5 credit foundation courses. So what'll happen sometimes is, let's say you're going to register for courses for summer session 1 and you add Accounting 6065 and Econ 6095 to your schedule for summer session 1. And then you go to try and register for Fin 6075 for summer session 2. Now you are registered for the correct courses for summer 1, but the system doesn't recognize a course requirement as being completed until you've successfully completed the course and the final grade goes onto the system. So when that happens, I recommend reaching out to your advisor, letting them know, hey, I registered for Accounting 6065 and Econ 6095 in summer 1. I went to register for Fin 6075 in session 2. Here's the section and or the CRN number. Can you please enter an override for me? We're happy to do so. We do that all the time. And that's the way that we can get you registered for that additional course that you want in a later session. So whenever you encounter that scenario where you are registered for the correct prerequisites or you have them in progress, you can reach out to us. We'll then enter the necessary override so that you can get that on your schedule without issue. Another thing I'd want you to know, each 7-week session has its own registration and tuition payment deadline. You can see the link there to our WP Online calendar. That will include important dates and deadlines for the current session and a number of upcoming sessions and semesters. So it's a good way to help you plan. If you are the type of person that sometimes forgets deadlines or lose sight in all of the busyness of life, set a reminder on your phone, on your calendar, whatever will help you remember when a tuition payment is due, or when a registration deadline is, so you get registered for classes, whatever will help you with that. Certainly make sure that you do that so you don't miss any important dates and deadlines. Also want to make sure you know, as we get closer to the registration deadline for a given session, like let's say, for example, that the registration deadline for summer session 1 was May 9th. Usually anywhere from about 2 to 4 days before the registration deadline, the registrar's office will close the option for a student to place themselves on the wait list for a course section. So especially if you have been accepted for your program towards the latter part of the process and you're getting close to the registration deadline, I would encourage you to register for classes as early as you're able to do so you don't push up on that window where waitlisting for a course will not be a possibility. And if you do find yourself in that position, if you're no longer able to add yourself on the wait list for a course and you're hoping to do so, reach out to your advisor. I can't guarantee that we'll be able to get you on the wait list for a course, but it certainly doesn't hurt to ask. But to avoid that scenario as much as possible, as early as you're able to register for courses, I recommend that you do. As you imagine, as it gets closer to the registration deadline, there are course sections that will fill up. If you're able to register earlier, that will oftentimes prevent that scenario from happening. So whenever possible, register early. And then you can oftentimes register for multiple sessions at one time. Like sometimes the registration is open for summer 1, summer 2, fall 1, and fall 2. And a common question that gets asked is, if I'm registered for 4 sessions, do I have to pay the tuition for 4 sessions at the same time? And the answer is no. Every 7-week session has its own unique tuition payment deadline. So as long as you stay on top of your tuition payment deadlines for each one consecutively, you can be registered for multiple sessions and just pay for the number of credits that you're registered for in the next session that has a due date. So an example would be if you registered for 2 3-credit courses for summer session 1 and the tuition payment deadline was May 14th, and you also registered for 2 courses for summer 2 and 2 for fall 1 and 2 for fall 2. As long as you submit that summer 1 tuition payment by May 14th, you'll have no issue then paying for the summer 2 one by that date, fall 1 by that date, fall 2, etc. If you miss your tuition payment for summer 1 and you were dropped for additional courses for summer 2, fall 1, and fall 2, the registrar's office may drop you from all of your future courses, and you may need to re-register for them after you submit your summer 1 tuition payment. So above all else, please be mindful of those tuition payment deadlines, but know that even if you log into WPConnect and you see a full total for all of those courses that you registered for there, that is not the amount that is due for that first tuition payment deadline. I know sometimes students see that in a separate part of the portal, get very nervous, but each 7-week session has its own unique tuition payment deadline. So just something to keep in mind. One scenario that would really only be applicable for any of you that were a WP undergrad here and are transitioning right over to a graduate program. If you try and register for classes and you get an error message that says student status prevents registration, when a student is getting close to the end of their bachelor's degree, the registrar's office will usually freeze the registration side of your record. That's preventing a student from accidentally registering for additional courses that are beyond your degree requirement. So that's a safety measure that's in place. But it will also prevent you from registering for your graduate courses for the term in which you've been accepted. So if you encounter that, I recommend just quick contacting the registrar's office. You can see the email address and the phone number there. Just let them know, hey, I'm a William Patterson undergraduate. I'm going to be completing my degree in, let's say, the summer, and then I'm going to be starting my grad program in the fall. I'm getting an error message. Could you please activate the registration side of my record? Once they do, you'll be able to register for courses without issue, and it's a quick thing for them to do. Another possibility is you may have a hold on your record. If you have an unfulfilled financial obligation, if you owe the graduate admissions office an official copy of a transcript, or something else across campus that might prevent you from registering for classes. If you get an error message that says you have a hold on your account, I recommend contacting the Office of Student Enrollment Services. They would be able to let you know what the hold is, why it's there, and what the next steps are to get that hold lifted so you can proceed with registering for classes. And the same deal, their email address and their phone number is there. And I know this covered a lot of information. Again, I recommend going over your academic advisement email if you haven't already. There's a lot of helpful information there. Be sure to watch that brief video that the registrar's office has provided. That should be invaluable for you as well. And then I would also stress there are other videos in addition to this on our YouTube channel. There's an introduction there. There are a number of others, and we're going to continue to add them as we go through. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you feel a little bit more confident about logging into WP Connect and starting to browse for and adding courses to your schedule. And certainly if you do encounter issues, if you have questions, that's why your advisor is here. We're happy to answer anything that might happen. But certainly we hope that many of you, most of you, maybe all of you, will be able to register for courses yourself without issue. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and otherwise hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.